Hi there, this is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video, we're discussing Wonton Terror, written by Vivien Chien. It's the fourth book in the Noodle Shop Mystery series. It's a cozy mystery series, a very unique one in my opinion, and I love the whole Asia-themed shopping centre. All the characters in that shopping centre, they're all friends, or so it seems. Almost like a family, really. They all get on well. They all look out for each other. They're very supportive of each other. It seems like a whole extended family. And I love that whole interaction between them all. It just makes for very entertaining and unique reading. This book, though, is not as strong as the first three books in the series. In my opinion, it's the weakest of the four so far. And it's a very dark book. It goes to very dark territory that the other books didn't go to so much. So that didn't affect my rating of the book so much. It's more just the way it was written. And some of the things that go on in this book just drop that rating down for me. This book starts off with the first summer night market of the year. The Holy restaurant has a booth there. A lot of other businesses in the village shopping centre have a booth there as well. And it's quite a warm night, people are enjoying themselves. Then suddenly a food van turns up. And the owners of this food van are people that Lana knew from when she was a child. She used to play with their son a lot when she was a child, and then for some reason that friendship went away. The parents were friends and suddenly they weren't, and Lana didn't ever know why, but she hadn't seen their son for quite a long time, all these people. Lana and her chef Peter, they witness these two people having an argument, and it's quite a heated argument. And then the father of this family has an argument with somebody else as well, and that's quite heated as well. They're not sure what's going on, what the argument was about, but it kind of piques their interest. You know, they're a bit nosy, they want to know what's going on. Then they see the son, Calvin, come along, and he has argument as well with his father, so they witness that as well. So the father is known to be a bit of a hothead. He argues with people quite a lot, so they're not just sure if it's just normal arguments. They seem very heated, very intense, and Lana's, wondering what's going on. That whole nosy part of her personality seems to be picking out an interest in that. Suddenly, there's an explosion in the food van. Fortunately, Sandra Cho is not in the van at the time, but her husband Ronnie is, and Ronnie can't be rescued. The fire is too intense, nobody can get to him in time. With the explosion, a bit of debris flies around as well, and Sandra Chen is injured in that debris, and she's rushed to hospital. Another lady is taken to hospital as well from the injuries. The police arrive on the scene. Everyone gets questioned. Everyone's kept there for quite a long time while the police are trying to work out what went on. Did anybody witness anybody tampering with the van? Anybody suspicious? Nobody really saw anything. They're all busy doing their own thing. But suddenly, Lana's interest is piqued by this explosion. But then, later on in this book, not too long, a day or two later, Lana learns from her mother Betty that Sandra Cho is being questioned for the murder of her husband. The police think that Sandra Cho was behind the death, behind the blast. Maybe for the insurance money, maybe because they're having financial problems, no one's really sure, but the police think that Sandra is a suspect. Because Lana's mother is so upset by this, Lana decides to investigate, and that's why she's getting involved this time. She wants to find out the truth, just so she can help her mother work through this as well. And she remembers Sandra Cho as being nice. All that time ago when she knew Sandra Cho from a childhood, she thinks Sandra is a nice woman, that she would never do something to hurt anybody, even her husband. Putting aside the investigation and the mystery a bit, other things are going on in this book. Lana's Aunt Grace comes to visit. Aunt Grace and Lana's mother Betty are very different, almost extremely different. Where Betty is a bit conservative, family values, the old values from her native Taiwan, Grace is more flamboyant, more carefree. Grace, wants to do her own thing, and she does. She's a journalist, a freelance journalist. She travels a lot. Betty likes stability. She likes a quiet life. She likes things just so, and they argue over everything. Grace thinks Betty should be more like her. Betty thinks Grace should be more like her. They can't agree on anything, it seems, And that makes for very, very interesting scenes, sometimes fun, entertaining scenes when we have family dinners, when you've got Grace and Betty, Lana and her sister, and Lana's father there as well. There's a lot of arguments going on, and the kids are very embarrassed by what goes on between their mother and their aunt. So it makes for very interesting scenes. And I think that's the comic relief in this book, is those scenes with the family together for dinner. And we need that in this book because this book goes into very dark territory, and it explores things like family violence, and it explores it quite deeply, I think, for a cozy mystery. So you need that light-hearted element in the book to balance that out a bit. As Lana's investigating this, we find out that Sandra's husband Ronnie, so Ronnie was the victim in the explosion, we find out he was violent towards Sandra, and for quite a number of years. So that's where the family violence element comes into the book. Lana's speaking to a lot of different people in this book, and a lot of people that were friends with her parents back when she was a child, but they're not friends now. So we're delving into the past a bit in this book as well. We're delving into the past of why all these people who were friends at one stage aren't friends now. So while it's a fresh crime, it almost feels like a cold case as well. We're going into the past, and Lana has to understand the past, what happened between all these people, to get to the truth of who's behind that explosion in the food van. There are a lot of suspects in this book. Sandra's a suspect because could she have killed her husband to get away from him? We've got Sandra's brother who knew about the violence that was going on, and he's acting very mysteriously as well. And he returned to the area quite recently, and could he be behind the death? Could Kelvin, Sandra and Ronnie's son, be behind it? Did he know what was going on between his parents? We've got a lot of suspects. They're very closely linked to the family, it seems, all the suspects, but there are quite a few of them. In a lot of other ways, it seems the weakest mystery in this series so far. The motive behind Lana investigating, I think, is the weakest motive in the series so far. Investigating because the mother's upset. In other books, she's investigating because it affects her personally, that people suspect her or the restaurant, and I found those motives a bit stronger than in this book. In this book, it's the first book I think in the series so far where Lana's life wasn't in danger, so that decreased the tension and suspense in the book a bit. We had some tension there because the night markets continued, and every night market that occurred, there was a threat of another blast. Police were always around, keeping an eye on things, seeing if anybody was there suspicious. So that added a little bit of suspense in the book. Not too much though, because I had a feeling that nothing was going to happen in the night markets, or nothing major anyway. Another thing I noticed in this series, and it just stuck out at me in this book, is that Megan, who's Lana's best friend and roommate, always changes her schedule to suit Lana, to help Lana out when she's investigating these crimes. And I just wonder, would it happen in real life? Every time Megan does change her schedule to help Lana, she loses a bit of money because she's either taking time off work or she swaps shifts. And by swapping her shifts, she's missing out on the shifts that give her the most money. So I would wondered if that happened in real life. Would Megan keep doing that to help Lana? Or would Megan get sick of it a bit, thinking she's losing out a bit by doing this? So I think that needs to stop a little bit, maybe in the series, because it's starting to seem not so real, not lifelike. Aunt Grace is a good character in this book. Very fun, very vibrant. She needs to be there, I think, to balance out all the dark elements in this book. She's almost a comic relief a little bit, because when she's there, the scenes become a bit fun, a bit lively, and we see some very cleverly written interactions between Betty Lee and Grace. I do like the fact that Grace is so different to Betty Lee. I thought that was quite well done. And there's a bit of growth in this book for both Grace and Betty Lee, because when they get towards the end of this book, they understand each other a bit more. And I like the fact that it took Lana and Lana's sister to drive that understanding. It was almost a learning moment for the older generation, and it seemed a bit flipped, because in this series so far, the learning moment seemed to come from the older generation to the young generation. And I like that reverse element in this book. I like the fact that that's flipped a bit. Kelvin is the son of Ronnie and Sandra. He's a good character in this book because he's somebody from Lana's past. So she's trying to get into her parents' past, but she's also trying to understand her own past and trying to understand what her friendship with Calvin was like when they were young, and why they aren't really good friends now. Who's Calvin now? Is he the same as he was when she knew him many years ago? And I like that in this book. And I also like the fact that Calvin's very strong himself. He bites back at Lana when Lana tries to question him and is quite aggressive and accusatory in questions to him. He bites back a bit. And I like the fact that there's a character who does that in this series, because it seems that we need that in this series, because Lana's character is very aggressive, a bit over the top when she starts talking to people about the cases, about the things she's investigating. The author was very clever with Calvin and not giving his whole history away, his whole motives away, and it made him mysterious, and it keeps the reader guessing. Is he guilty or not? Can he be trusted or not? Is he a danger to Lana or not? And that is very cleverly done in this book. Ruby is another great character in the book, and she's very hard to pin down. Sometimes she seems very open, sometimes she seems a bit more mysterious and closed down. And she's very quick to close down the conversations when she thinks Lana's getting close to the truth. And she hides her past a lot. She's very open sometimes with Lana, sometimes not. That whole mysterious element about Ruby is a big part in this book, and I do like Ruby as a character. Although I still enjoyed this book, it's not the strongest book in the series for me. I rate it a 3 out of 5. The mystery with the past, learning about Lana's parents' past and the friends they had back in the day, learning about that to solve this mystery, was a good element in the book, and was very different from books 1 to 3 in the series. Unfortunately, it just wasn't strong enough for me. There wasn't enough suspense in the book, enough tension. I found a little bit weaker on that side of things. As I read each book in this series, I'll put up a review on my channel. If you don't want to miss out on those reviews, check out my channel and subscribe. I also have a cozy mystery playlist on my channel. It should be on your screen now.